Hey everyone, thanks for joining me tonight for a Wednesday evening devotion. In Psalms chapter 37, verses 23 and 24, King David writes, "The Lord directs the steps of the godly. He delights in every detail of their lives. Though they stumble, they will never fall, for the Lord holds them by the hand." Maybe you've seen the popular insurance commercial that asks the question, "Are you in good hands?" That's a very important question to ask. When we're young, we put ourselves in our parents' hands, don't we? We trust them and hope that they're going to take care of us and look out for us. Now, when we take long road trips, sometimes we might share the driving duties with someone, and when it's their turn to drive the car, we're putting our life in their hands because they're in control of the car. And if you've ever flown in an airplane before, you put your life in the pilot's hands, and you trust that pilot to get you safely to where you're going. So we know what it feels like to trust someone else and put ourselves in someone else's hands. It's not always easy to do that, is it? Some of us love to be in control, so putting ourselves in someone else's hands isn't always the easiest thing to do, and it doesn't always sound good to us either, does it? Now, we can also agree that certain things are worth more in certain people's hands, aren't they? Take this football, for instance. In my hands, this football is worth around $15, which is what I paid for it. Now, if you want to be generous, it might be worth a little bit more than that, but not much more. Now, let's put this football in Tom Brady's hands. Tom Brady is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL. All of a sudden, in his hands, this football's worth jumps up to $25 million. That's how much money he's going to make playing for the Tampa Bay Bucks next season. Now, what about this basketball? In my hands, this basketball is worth around $25. Probably not much more. Now, if you've seen me play basketball before or you've watched me play, you'll probably agree with that. But let's put this basketball in LeBron James's hands. All of a sudden, it jumps up from $25 to $38.5 million. It's a big difference, isn't it? I got this baseball glove right here. In my hands, it's worth around $40. But in the hands of Chicago Cubs second baseman Javier Baez, it jumps up from $40 to $5 million. You know what that tells me? It's all about whose hands the football, the basketball, and the baseball glove are in, and that makes all the difference. I have 3 nails right here. Now, how much are these worth in my hands? Probably about 5 cents each. Sure, I can hammer them into some wood. I can make something really simple. But I want you to understand that if you take these 3 nails right here, if you put them into the hands, and the feet, for that matter, of Jesus, they can save the entire world from their sins. You see, it all depends on whose hands you're in. If we want to make the right decisions in life, if we want to live the best life possible, we need to make sure we put ourselves in God's hands. The Apostle Paul writes in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 9, "We felt we were doomed to die and saw how powerless we were to help ourselves, but that was good. For then we put everything into the hands of God, who alone could save us, for he can raise the dead." So here's the question. Have you put your trust in God? Have you put your life in his hands? It's all about whose hands we're in. That's what makes the difference. So whose hands are you in? Are you in good hands? In all of our lives, we go through times where we have to trust others and put our lives in others' hands. Let's make sure the hands we put ourselves in are the right ones. Don't forget the one we can always trust in, the one who created us, the one who loved us, and the one who died for us. Let's make sure we put our trust and our lives in the best hands possible. And those are the hands with the nail scars.